I just wanted to hop on the mic and say, I know the world been a little chaotic and everything. I just wanted to check and make sure everything good in the hood like sure, you know what I mean? Say out of the fam. Okay, let's get to work.
Test 1 2, test 1 2.
So what you lost your money?
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Jay here. Coming live. Well, not live, but coming through for the very first Sauna sessions with Jay on A Moment with Jay. So why am I doing this? Let me kind of get started on the day I've been having. I've been kind of having a not the best day, and that's okay. We all have days like that. And my kind of sluggish this morning, kind of weird, had some kind of weird business interactions, just some strange, not my norm kind of day. And I knew I had to do this podcast. And I wanted to do the podcast very first thing, but I just wasn't in the mood for it. And then I was like, I won't do it this week. I was, who's going to mind if they miss one? But then I was like, man, there's a bunch of podcasts that I like that, whenever they take a break and stuff, it's like, whatever. Like, that's what's cool about podcasts is that they're in control of it. But it's like, man, I like that podcast. I wanted to watch it today. So I was like, so, you know, uh, thank y'all for watching and everything. It keeps me motivated to keep doing things, even on the days when I don't want to do the stuff. I love podcasting. And so I was like all day. It's like at the middle of the afternoon or something, and all day I was like, man, maybe I will, maybe I won't, maybe I will, maybe I won't, and I was kind of doing this with everything. And sorry if the audio's a little weird or the footage looks a little strange. This is just kind of a test, you know. And anyways, so kind of all morning I was fairly unproductive, just not as productive as I usually am, and I could tell it was my mental state. So I was like, okay, let's freaking. Before I keep saying I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna do this, or blah 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 blah. Let's just do something. There's a bunch of things that we know we have to do every day that are non-negotiables, and working on music and moving are two of them. And those are my non-negotiables. Always got to be doing them. And so even if it's a little bit, and so sorry if I'm looking away. In order to get this shot, because I'm in the sauna. Oh, and that's another thing. My bad, man. If y'all just if y'all just listening, which so many of y'all are, I'm sitting in the sauna today, and that's why it's called the sauna session. I keep forgetting about just the audio listeners, man. So I'm sitting in the sauna today for today's podcast. So if the audio's a little different, that's why. I guess I really should explain this. I was just getting into this big story before I started to even explain that why am I doing that. So, anyways, why am I doing the sauna session? So let's continue on. So, being unproductive, blah 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 blah. So there's a couple of non-negotiables. So I'm like, okay, the homie Dusty Slay just dropped a new special on Netflix. So I'm like, okay, I've been super excited to watch this comedy special. I love Dusty Slay, big fan of comedy. If you didn't know that about me. And so then I'm like, okay, I'll go on the treadmill. Let's get the body moving. And we'll watch the special. We'll just walk on the treadmill for as long as the special. And usually when I'm doing walks and stuff, I like to either listen to an album. Um, I listen to a bunch of albums for obviously because I enjoy music as a fan of music, but I do it a lot to get inspiration and hear different sounds, what people are doing, and just you know, it's almost like an education thing when I'm purposely listening as opposed to like passively listening, which is, I'm doing something and there's just some music on where I'm like trying to, oh, analyze the mix and the production and the lyrics and stuff too, like the flow of the albums or whatever. Or sometimes I like audiobooks or educational podcast. Like I like to learn, especially when I'm doing exercise because I spend so much time doing exercise that you can be learning or reading, growing while you're doing something as well, physical. Anyways, but today I was like, okay, we're gonna get moving, but um, I'll allow myself some entertainment, and that's what I like to do now. Is kind of like, okay, some days I need the entertainment, but not all days. Having this talk with Brandon. He watches my twin brother. He watches a lot of streams, a lot of like, on Twitch or Kick or whatever. And we were talking about it that you can get a lot from these things like podcasts, but there's the difference between the entertaining ones and the ones that are for education, and sometimes you get caught up and you're watching too much entertainment all the time, and when you could be doing something to better yourself. And it's just like that balance, and everyone has a different balance, and so it's like today I was like, okay, let's get on the treadmill. Let's watch the special, and we won't get off until the special is over. Just a great way to get the movement in too, while still being edgy. And it was hilarious. It was a good special. I enjoyed it. Dusty Slay, from what I got to start listening to his podcast, because he's on this other podcast. That's so funny. This podcast is now talking about podcasts. This isn't the first time. Anyways, he's usually a guest, so he has his own podcast, and he's also a guest on podcast, a guest host on this other podcast called Nate Land, which I like also, with a bunch of comedians, 4 of them. And Nate Land is run by this dude Nate Bargatze, and I know I'm saying that name wrong, but he's also one of my favorite comedians. But their stuff is super clean. Like that's the whole thing, is it should be enjoyed by the whole family. All of their content, which is cool, especially because it's still funny. It's clean, but it's still funny. That to me, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. I consume it all. If it's dirty, as long as it's funny. If it's just dirty, then why are we? That's my whole thing with art. As long as it's what it's supposed to be, it's like, okay, it's a clean comic. Okay, but is it funny? Oh, dirty comic, but is it funny? Like, it's just, is it funny? That's all that matters. Is it political? Is it emotional? Okay, cool, but is it funny? That's the form. That's the art form. If it's not funny, then it's just a podcast or a talk or a TED talk. Anyway, so that Nate Land podcast, super clean, but there's a couple. It's still, that Dusty Slay special is still clean, but it's just like it talks about like drugs and stuff, and I was like, oh shit! So it kind of caught me off guard. It's a pretty good special though. So I say all that. So walking on a treadmill, um, listening to that and whatever, and then I'm like, okay, after this, we got work to do. I got so much work. I got tons of things. I got albums coming out. I'm going back to school now. I'm taking marketing in school. I just got a bunch. I got clients online. I got the album coming out, the podcast, content. There's more music that I'm making. I'm finishing up Olympus too. There's lots of things to balance, to always be doing. But I wasn't feeling like doing anything today. And I killed it yesterday. Yesterday I was doing great. I was back on the grind, doing everything. Ate super clean, trained super hard, got tons of work done. Um, But today just wasn't like that. But after I got off the treadmill, after I was done listening to that comedy thing, which was a great way to get things started, I was like, okay, cool, that was smart. Not every day is going to be optimal. Some days you're going to feel bad or, or not yourself, but you got to have a plan. You got to start to know yourself, I think. And, there's ways to get yourself out of it and not spiral down. I could have just went back to bed, fucking ate my face off, not stuck to my diet. Then I would have felt shitty, even shittier. So I was like, okay, you know what? Let's let's do the podcast, because I was like, let's do the sauna. It's like, should I do the podcast after the sauna, before the sauna? Maybe I'll heat up the sauna and I'll go do the podcast. I'll just do a short one and I'll just hop on there, say some things, and I have a bunch of notes on my phone about the what I wanted to talk about today and everything, but I was just like, we'll just kind of we'll go into the we'll go in and record the podcast like we normally do, and we'll get in the sauna while the sauna's heating up, and we'll just kind of do a quick one. I was like, wait, let's do something a little different. I think that's just all I need. I just need to be shaken up a little bit. So I was like, one of the biggest reasons I bought the stand that my iPhone is on, that's recording my video and audio right now, was that I could do these, I was going to call them sauna sessions with Jay, and I was going to do them on Instagram Live, because people really just I do this picture. I used to do it every day, but now I do it just several times a week because I just am trying to get off the social media so much. I would take a picture of myself in the sauna, and then I would block out my eyes and I would write sauna, and then I would usually have one of my songs in the corner or something, and people love that photo for some reason. The people would message me about it saying it looks so cool or whatever, and so I was like, well, you know what? I'm not really prepared. My phone is at like 50% battery life. I haven't charged these little microphones in a little while. Let's just go test it, and if we get 10 minutes, if we get 20 minutes, if we get an hour, great, because then we're kind of doing two birds with one stone, or three, kind of, I get to test out this new format of the podcast. I have a podcast to release this week, and I get to use the sauna. So I thought it was kind of like a triple threat, and so that's why we're in the sauna. So we'll see kind of how this goes, because I don't really have notes or anything, and I just kind of wanted to do a test. There was another. I'm going to talk about another podcast, but for all y'all motherfuckers who know, shout out to the other Canadian, Tom Green. He has a podcast, and I think he calls it the Barncast. And man, this guy is he's an interesting cat, man. Because I was watching his TikTok lives. I'm not a big fan of TikTok. I post the podcast clips all the time. It'd be funny if this was a clip on TikTok, if the stuff edited out properly and it comes out. But Tom Green goes live on his TikTok. I don't know if he still does, but he would always be doing all kinds of random things. Sometimes he'll be in his home studio and he's recording music. Sometimes he's cooking breakfast. Sometimes he's just eating, talking to the camera. All kinds of interesting things. And I don't know, just kind of fucking around and stuff. And now he's got this Barncast thing and even his YouTube channel. And I saw him do a test. This was a little while ago. He's been releasing episodes and stuff now, but he had one or two test episodes, and it was right before the winter. That's right, because it was getting cold. Because he's like, yo, there's holes in this barn. Like, he's actually just on a barn on his land, which is so cool, I think, too. And he just converted his barn, and I believe it's a solar powered podcast setup, and it looks great. Looks great. Man's isn't hurting for money, I don't think. It's a pretty cool setup. It's powered by the solar power, and yeah, he's bundled up and stuff, and he's doing these recordings. He's got a couple of different angles, and I think his first episode he brought his dad on. anyways, and he just makes cool content, just interesting content, because he just makes content for, like, his audience. He's such an interesting, quirky, funny, unique dude. That'd be cool. He would be a cool guest on, because he was, even the podcast he was talking about with his dad, and because he had the Tom Green show and all kinds of stuff. He's one of the godfathers of podcasting, founding fathers of it. The first to kind of do it. Same thing with like internet shows and stuff. Tom Green's a pretty interesting guy. Um, he was in some pretty big movies. Like, just an interesting guy. And so he's talking about with his dad, and he would do stuff and like prank his parents and shit. And it would be on the shows and stuff, and his dad was getting pretty popular, and he asked his dad if he enjoyed being famous, and he's like, yeah, of course. It was pretty cool. He's like, I hated the pranks at the time, but who wouldn't? No one likes being pranked, but it's like, damn, bro. I mean, he didn't say damn, bro. He's like this old dude, but he was like, yeah, it was pretty cool. um anyway, so that's what kind of gave me the thought of doing this kind of like test run. And I was just like, oh, okay, that's a, that's where that comes from. That's where that was my thought process, anyways, coming into this. And yeah, I didn't really have anything planned to talk about today specifically. And I hope y'all can see me pretty well. I'll keep looking down at my microphone here, because I don't know if the batteries are just gonna die. I remember we did a podcast with Brandon for our birthday, and his mic died, but right at the end. It just worked the way it worked out. The way I noticed it, we were right at the end anyway. So I was like, "Oh, that's sick." It's not sick that it died, but it's sick that we caught it, and that the podcast. Um, it'd be cool, I think, even to do when I get a little bit more established of a setup, and just do the podcast kind of everywhere. Kind of just I think it's just a vibe. I really enjoy the podcast, man, and I enjoy that. I'm glad that people enjoy listening to it. This will be something that I continue to do for a while. Oh, so well, I did mention it briefly, but I decided to go back to school. Decided to go back to school for a couple reasons. I decided to take marketing. It's a 1 year program just to get a marketing university certificate. I've worked as a marketing manager, CEO, founder, whatever, and but I've never had any formal business training. Lots of reading, lots of lectures. I've been to conventions and all that kind of stuff. But I was like, let's see what's up. Let's see what's up. And what I was hoping to get from school. Now I've been in school, I think now for 3 weeks. Okay, I'm taking a marketing certificate, university certificate, and I was like, okay, it's 1 year. Yeah, it's a lot of money, but I just wanted to go and learn some of the more fundamental stuff. I kind of got the idea of being creative and being what an entrepreneur is, but it's like, okay, let me see what all these other motherfuckers are learning that went to business school, that they say, you don't need to make $1 million and stuff. And yeah, I can understand why you don't need this kind of education to make that kind of money. But it's also not bad to get an education. Is there other more affordable resources to get an education? Maybe. And I think that's going to be one area that's an interesting area, especially in terms of business and stuff. That in the future, um, there's going to be a lot more online, cheaper, I think, resources. I think people are starting to understand that these universities and stuff are really just fucking, they don't need to be as expensive as they are. They're making a lot of money. A lot of money. And they don't need to. They're, you know. Um, so, anyways, I think there's going to be different options in the future, where, Because right now you can get things online and stuff, but if unless you're going to a formal school, it just doesn't weigh the same. Schools still kind of weigh a little bit more than some of these online things. But you'll see in the future that a lot of these online smaller niche things are going to be more valuable. I think, at least for a period of time until schools can kind of change. I think. Anyways, that's just my opinion on it. So I don't regret starting school. It's a lot of work, but I am learning a lot, and it's kind of helping me shift my mindset. Another thing I've realized about going to school now is I think I have a couple advantages. Is I spend so much time learning on my free time anyways, so that it's something that I enjoy. Another thing is these textbooks have this really cool thing now. Like on your devices, it will read the text for you. And so what I do is I double speed the text and I read along. And I can just because that's how I do regular audiobooks, and I think it's because I listen to rap music and stuff. Honestly, I think it is because I listen to things so quickly, and I can really concentrate and focus in and not get distracted. I can really focus in on something like that where I'm reading and listening, and I can get locked in for like a good 90 minutes. And then that's the other thing is I've spent so many years learning how to be productive and how to learn um, efficiently that I'm like, okay, it's like I never feel overwhelmed or anything because I'm like, okay, no, you're never gonna learn these things um, unless you're allowing rest. That's a huge thing, and I keep talking about this is how much rest is important. But even when you're learning, again, you're not going to retain the information until you're away from the information. So it's all about going hard, focusing. But then it's like these 90 to 2 hour, and then and then you take a break, and then you come back, and it's small little breaks, maybe 20 minutes. I go for a walk, maybe a little stretch, maybe go get a coffee, something like that, and then come back, do another 2 hours, and I can usually do that three, maybe two, three, depending on what the information is, maybe 4 hours of that, or 4 cycles of that. Four is a lot, though. It's like four is a lot. It's like one or two, and I can really focus, really grind. Three starts to get to me. Four starts to really it struggles, but I can do it. But 1 or 2 rounds of that, and I can get a ton of stuff done. These small. That's what my whole thing is. It's like I like these kind of like 90 to 2 hour slots where I can get things done. Um, Music stuff, a 2 hour session of really focused music creation, you can get quite a bit done. And then if you take a little break, you step back, take a breath. Okay, should I continue? Should I switch? I got this idea actually. I can't remember. Maybe Bon Iver said. I can't remember what the musician is, and he was saying, because a lot of times when you're working on songs and stuff, you'll work on something. Maybe you'll spend a full 5, 6, 7, 8 hours working on something. You'll listen back to it, and you're like, "Well, this is fucking trash." And most of the time, it actually is. It's not being modest or anything. Most of the things you make are garbage, me or anybody. And so his whole thing was, okay, spend an hour on an idea, then move to a different idea, spend another hour, and then spend your time on another third idea. And then once you're done the hour of that third idea, go through those 3 ideas. And whatever time you have left for the amount of time, maybe it's 4 hours, maybe that's all you wanted to do was 3 hours. Maybe you wanted to put in 8 hours. So then what you do is you pick one of those 3 ideas, the one that you like the best, and you try to finish as much of it as you can. And I really like this idea of changing and then moving forward. It just keeps things fresh and exciting. And then you can really, Rick Rubin has this concept of, the more work that you have, the easier it is for you to make decisions on them. If you only have one song, and this I think happens with a lot of new artists. If you have one song that you spent the money to write, maybe that's all you have is to write before you even get to production. And you have one song, and you spend a lot of time writing it, a lot of time with the chords and the structure of the song, the way your vocals sit in it, and you know you're showing people and people don't like it, it's very easy to get your feelings hurt because you only got one song, and then you're like, oh, am I shitty? Maybe I'm just not a good songwriter. It's like, man, it's one song. And so now, say you have 40 songs, and people are like, holy shit, that one song is, I don't really like these 10. Maybe they don't like maybe they don't like 35 of the songs, but they're like, these five, fucking the best songs I've ever heard in my life. You're like, sick. And that's what it's about. It's all these different philosophies and whatnot. I love listening to these experienced, just down to earth people. That's another podcast if y'all haven't watched it yet. Andrew Huberman, Dr. Andrew Huberman. I quote him all the time. And Rick Rubin. They had two. And wow, fantastic. I still got to read Rick Rubin's book, but maybe after I'm done the schooling stuff. Cool. We've been here for 24 minutes, I know, because it's got an hour kind of countdown. That's kind of my goal, is to do it for an hour, but I'm scared that this battery in the microphone's going to die. And it's a test, so I'm not going to beat myself up too much about it either. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so I'm starting school, and I'm enjoying it. I'm really getting what I wanted out of it so far. Anyways, I'm only 3 weeks in, I guess, but I am getting what I wanted out of it, and I'm doing online schooling because, again, I think I don't need the experience of going to school. I already went to school. I went to school to become a personal trainer. I have a diploma in personal training, a college diploma in personal training. I've been to many courses, and I don't need the social interaction. I don't need a teacher, and I just need the information that I want, the certificate, But I am learning the things that I want to learn, and I like the online work because it's like I can kind of do like this morning, like yesterday, I really crushed a bunch of work. So, and then I have my whole week kind of plotted out around it. And so I'm not going to beat myself up too much if I don't do what I need to do today, because I can get it done tomorrow, and the next day I'll just put in a little bit more time, and I know how to manage my workloads. And that's another thing what I was talking about. I'm a much better learner being an adult. I'm fucking 30 years old. You would hope I got better at something. And so I feel like I'm a much better student. And I'm not trying to, go and get 100% anymore. I'm just trying to, that's the other thing, is I'm practically using it as well. I'm creating content. I have my own brands, Prime Purpose Movement, JusJrdn. I have a podcast. I have a daily vlog on top. I have a weekly podcast. I have a daily vlog of the one meal a day. I have an album coming out when I'm finished school. I have 2 albums coming out. So I was like, okay, this will be something that hopefully I can gain some also practical skills as well, and help complete some of my own personal goals. And I can put this into work while I am actively learning these things, these concepts and topics and whatnot, so I'm tangibly learning these things while I am doing them. I'm actively. So anyways, it's going cool right now. It's a ton of work, obviously, but I'm very lucky to be able to do these things. And yeah, we'll see. Kind of, this is game time. I got like 8 months of school, and this is what the game plan is. As soon as I'm kind of finished school here, in the 8 months is when Olympus 1 and 2 will come out. And man, I can't wait. And the goal is simple, man. The goal is simple. Olympus 2 is an online release, and Olympus 1 is the vinyl, and we're making only 1,000 copies of the vinyl. And I'm kind of hoping that, with all the schooling, with all the content, with all the everything, that I can, over the course of the 8 months, really build this hype up, and then drop 1,000 and sell them all, and then that will set me up, to expand more into the content world, into the art world, and then we'll start to finish up Mr. J and the Heartbroken Homies. We'll put a bunch of the money into that, into some more music videos, into upgrading the content for the podcast and the daily vlogs and some other content that I really want to work on, and all that, and just really put it back into the art, live off the money for a couple years, drop another project, and kind of keep doing that. I'll only be doing a select number of shows, because I really like the online game, and I think there's a huge future of it, for myself, and just I think it's growing. I think it's a cool field, and I like doing it. I like creating this kind of format of content. I can get my thoughts and my ideas out, and I think it's just the most authentic. Like, I'm literally sitting, I'm using my phone and a microphone. I'm sitting in a sauna in my basement, talking to y'all, and just speaking my shit. And yeah, so that's kind of the game plan I got going right now, and then we just go strong into the, because I'll be finished school kind of in August, so the album will drop kind of in the fall, and then the exact date I'm not gonna say, but sometime in the fall, and then we'll ship off. But the people who will get everything kind of first will be the people who pre-ordered, because they've been waiting, and I appreciate them, man. I never wanted the project to keep getting delayed like this, but it's just the way things work sometimes. And being an independent artist, it's like, man, it's hard when you're doing everything out here by yourself. But also, I know she's listening. Shout out my mama. Shout out Mama P. She started doing the radio tracking for me, so that means that she's sending out my songs to get placed in radio stations. So if anyone's listening that's even remotely connected to radio, or I know you are just in your city or whatever, call your local radio station and request JusJrdn, man. Dark Sky would be the one that I would ask y'all to push, if y'all, or if you are a radio person, um, you know, reach out, message my mama, comment below with your info, or message me, and I'll pass it along, and I'll get her to send y'all the music so you can play it on your stations. So that she's been doing a huge help with that. She's also gonna, once we get it all set up here, she's also gonna start pitching some of the music for sync. So to get the music into, like commercials or video. I always wanted my songs. It would be really cool to be in a TV show, but to be in a movie and to be in a video game. That's one of my biggest dreams, is not only to have my song in a video game, but I would love to make the music for a video game, and you'll see. There's something I'm working on my own that I'm doing. I can't release that with y'all yet. It's still in the works, but that one's crazy. Um, I am sweating. It is the sauna. So if there are times where I kind of fade in and out, it's because I also am sitting in the sauna. Don't forget that. It's not mega hot, but it is hot. And I just did cardio. Gotta forgive the boy out here. So yeah, my mom will also be starting to do some of the sync stuff as well, and pitching to music supervisors and stuff. So again, if y'all making some content, if y'all making a show or whatever have you, let me know. I got a bunch of music that I own 100%, that could fit in a bunch of things, And so I'm really just growing my businesses like this, And so it's great. Shout out to my mom. Thank you for helping. I know she's listening. She's listening probably first thing in the morning too, as soon as this comes out. So thanks, Mom. And she's already got me placed on the radio. She's only been doing it for a couple of weeks, and the songs have already been the song has already been on the radio. So you're crushing it, Mom. Crushing it. But yeah, so there's a bunch of different avenues, and I can't always be doing everything. Sometimes, that would be the thing that really is a game changer, when I can employ like one or two more people to help full time. We're really going to be able to skyrocket the content, the level of the content, and some of the things that we're doing. I got big plans, especially for the YouTube page. I love YouTube so much. I like Spotify and everything, but just not as much as YouTube. There's just something about YouTube that I am fully committed to right now. When it comes to like even the music stuff, it's like YouTube is my main thing. I'm gonna be directing people to because I just Spotify and stuff. I don't know, man. Especially, I think things need to change with the amount of money they're paying people. Not that YouTube's paying people a lot of money. I just think there's a lot more room for organic growth in YouTube and Spotify. You've got to be growing outside of the platform so much to order to drive traffic to it. Again, unless you're running with labels and record labels and stuff, and it all just depends what your main goal is, And it's like I want to be doing stuff all by myself, Unless someone's gonna come in and really assist, I can just be doing this myself, and I'll grow it myself until I can hire my own team, and the team's gonna be rock stars, like my mama. Thanks, mom. Um, yeah, so that's what's up, and that's another thing too, man. Is I'm feeling so much better. It's funny how just doing, even better than the 24 whatever minutes ago when we started. It's interesting how you can just how just actions, forced action. You don't want to do something like There's the days I know where I'm like, yeah, I just need to chill out today. I need to go get an ice cream cone or something later for my one meal a day treat. I just need that break. I need that. But I knew today wasn't like that. And that's why I was kind of battling on and off and on and off. And it's crazy how you're just forcing yourself to, like, going on that treadmill and listening to watching the comedy special. How that kind of set me up to be on the podcast and do the podcast and have these ideas like, hey, let's do the sauna podcast today. And I was like, oh yeah, fuck yeah. Because it's like, especially when you can be optimal like this, because my morning, because that's another thing that kills me. That kills a lot of people. I have this talk a lot with people is the need to be productive. It's like, it's it's society, it's culture that forces us to feel that need that we're behind. We're not making enough money. We're not putting enough time in with so and so or blah blah blah. But it's okay to be alone. It's okay to be chilling. But I say all that to say it's nice when you can optimize things. It's like, yeah, that I really wanted to watch that comedy special, but I got my steps in on the treadmill as well. So boom, I got to do both of those things, and one made the other one more enjoyable. And getting up and getting moving started to really make me feel better on top of the comedy bonus. And then I was like, then I got the idea to do the podcast, and the sauna. It's working out great, unless for some reason the iPhone happened to shut off or something. That would be tragic. Um, Hold on, I'm gonna take. You might hear a very loud squeak. It's because I'm leaving the sauna for a second to check the iPhone. I freaked myself out. Okay, it's still recording. It's still recording. Good. I freaked myself out a little bit. Anyway, I'm glad I checked. This is a test. Remember, this is a test. And then yeah, even now to be in the sauna, um, um, and doing the podcast again, multiple things, and testing out the new style of the sauna. It's just nice. It feels good to be. It feels good to feel good. And sorry for the squeaking. It's kind of loud in the sauna when you move around. I'm just kind of reposition myself into a more leisurely seat. Um, just for y'all listening, I'm also about to inhale some cannabis. That's the other thing, man. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I don't get annoyed very often, perturbed very often. People can cancel on me, blah 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 blah. Most things don't really drive me up the wall that much. But losing my cannabis vape, bro, there's something about it that just eats at my soul. not that I know. It's not that I'm, like I got this really nice one the other day, and it was. I'm trying to get lower and lower kind of potencies on the cannabis. I think it's getting too strong. Where it's like, okay, I don't need to be. It's not the point of this. Actually, it's funny. The Dusty Slay thing has a talk like that, and I agree. It's like I don't know if Bob Marley was smoking this stuff. And anyways, so there's some of these vapes are so strong. Actually, the one I'm smoking right now is really dope because it's only they call it diet weed because it suppresses your appetite and it's all the positives of sativa. So sativa and indica, sativa is more of like the upbeat, get creative, get moving, while the indica is kind of like the more chilling, sleepy bedtime stuff. But everyone's body's different. The terpenes interact with the people's um, cannabinoid systems a little bit different as well. Again, I'm not gonna get I'm not gonna get too deep into it. So like one strain, just like most things, just because one thing works really well for you doesn't mean it necessarily works really well for somebody else. But this one strain that I have right now that I'm about to smoke, that I'm smoking right now, um, yeah, it's like the THCV and it's kind of like that suppressed but uplifting and pretty cool. I really like it. And but I got this other one the other day. It's 50% THC, 50% CBD. Those are kind of hard to find sometimes here. And it was a sativa too, so it kind of got me up. I like to smoke, especially my gym sessions. I like to take a puff or two before I go in so I can just get dialed in and just focus. I don't have to do too much thinking when it comes to weightlifting. I've done it for so long. And I just need to grind it out, get in there and fucking focus, put on a new album that I haven't listened to, put on a podcast, learn something, especially because I'm doing the 2 day a week full bodies. It takes a long time. Those workouts are 2-3 hours, especially if I do the hour of cardio at the end. Anyways, I bought this vape for it, for the workout specifically, that mango one. I go in, I smoke. All right, I'm going in. I'm taking a couple puffs before I go in. Do the workout. It's a great workout. I'm like, yeah, that vape was fucking awesome. It's not too much. I'm not getting paranoid in the gym. I'm not getting too high. I'm just getting dialed in. I get home. Like, let me get another hit of that motherfucker, as a reward. I look through the vehicle. I look through my bag. Can't find it anywhere. I lost it. I was, and this is like, I wasn't even hurting for money or anything at the time. I actually had a little bit of money. I bought my dad a vape. I bought Brandon a vape just as my car's broken down, so they've been letting me use their whip. So I was like, I think I got my mom a bubble tea that day. It's like I was feeling generous. I just bought myself that vape, and it was just all that generosity just didn't make me feel good because I lost that vape. That's how much losing a vape hurts me. It's just one of the things that kills me. And it was full, like a full vape. Took one little hit off, and it kills me. I hate it. I've only lost maybe 2 or 3 of them, but when you do, and it was the battery is kind of like the stem of it that you screw the cartridge that has the weed on. The top part is the cartridge with the weed. The bottom part is the battery, and you keep using the battery, you recharge it and stuff, and you just replace the cartridges when you run out of weed. And it was my favorite battery. It was my favorite kind of handle thing. It was like this fucking multicolored one. I was like, anyways, one thing I will also say that I've recently really, really become a fan of is the cannabis drinks. Man, they honestly, some of those drinks, I know people complain here about the potency. The 10 milligrams of THC isn't a lot, but for instance, they're throwing 10 milligrams of THC, 10 milligrams of CBD. A lot of them have both THC and CBD, and then some of them will have 30 milligrams of caffeine. One of the ones that I just recently tried had caffeine. They had this other one that tasted like Mountain Dew. They got this vanilla like root beer one, and man, there's this other one that's like a tropical cream soda. It's like mango pineapple. It's honestly it's making my mouth water. Also, I'm sitting in a sauna dehydrating, but it's one of the best sodas carbonated drinks, and I'm not even a big carbonated drink guy. I mean, I kind of becoming more accustomed to it, especially sparkling waters. I've been a fan of lately. But this tropical cannabis drink, man, it was something else. I was like, what the fuck? This is crazy. And so that one's so. Anyways, I'm a big fan. I got 3 or 4 of them in my fridge right now because they're just nice. And then I'm not smoking so much, you know. It's I'll have one with dinner, something, and then that will kind of be the rest of my day, cannabis consuming wise. So yeah, man. You know what? And this just goes to show you, man, that you just need to get out. I'm feeling so much better than I did a few hours ago, which is great. You know, it's gonna let me enjoy the rest of my day. And that's it. It's like things might not always go your way. Honestly, most things aren't ever gonna go your way. You know, um, you can try your best and you don't succeed. You get what you want, but not what you need. Nights with God. Oh, Coldplay. You home in love your soul, and I will try to fix you. That's what it is. I had to finish it, man. I got stuck in my head. Oh, a lot of people talk some shit about Coldplay. They're geniuses, man. Some of that music is some of the greatest music ever written, and some of the um, production in it is just phenomenal. Not a lot of people. I mean, Coldplay isn't hurting, man. They're doing just well. Anyways, so I'm feeling much better. I'm glad that I ended up doing the podcast today, and thank y'all for listening, and thank you for making it to the end. This was just going to be a test, and I think the test was successful. I don't really know what the quality of the sound and the video kind of look like. Well, I do because I ran a couple tests before, you know, the main test. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see kind of how this goes. I really like doing it in here. It's just a different style of podcast. I can't pull up clips and stuff, but it's like, you know, maybe I can save that for the guests when they come. Hmm. I don't know. Let me know in the comments or hit me up on Instagram or my Snapchat or whatever. And I'm not really, yeah, whatever. I'm sure I'm bad with answering my direct messages, because I'm trying to stay off the apps as much as possible. But let me know what you think of the first sauna session. I've enjoyed doing it. Um, yeah, I hope it all turns out pretty good. I'm excited about this, just because that was the other thing too. Is I like this because I like trying new things, you know. And I know it's not even that new of a thing. I sit in the sauna all the time. I do a podcast every week, but it's like combining those two things is a little bit different. And it's like all those little adjustments, and I love trying new things, and that's why I make the music that I make, and that's why I'm always doing different things because I just love variety. I love it's just you can have many things that you enjoy, you know, and I like to enjoy many things. Just like when I eat, it's like it's nice to have like a little bit of everything. You know, if there's several types, even if you're eating just meat and fruit, if you have several different types of meat and several different types of fruit, it makes that one meal very enjoyable, in my opinion, anyways. Um, yeah. So, anyways, I'm still doing just to keep you updated with this last point. I'm still doing the one meal a day. Um, you know, I'm losing weight on it consistently. My strength's been going up. I really enjoy the one meal a day stuff, just simply because it's convenient. It's easy. It's easier to track. You can keep track of when you're only. It's easier to not eat as much shit when you're only eating once. Um, yes, you can. It's not a magic thing. It's like if you eat too many calories, even in one meal a day, you're gonna put on weight. It's not magic, but there are so many other added benefits like that autophagy and finding the focus to be pretty good for most days. Obviously, today I was having kind of a so-so day, which that was another thing why I wanted to do it. That convinced me. I was like, okay, I always want to do the podcast when I'm feeling good. You know, I wanted to bring that energy. I feel like people almost expect a kind of a vibe from me. You know, And I wasn't feeling that vibe today, and I was like, okay, that's authentic. I'll show up that way, anyways, and we'll see how things go. But I'm feeling much more like myself by the end of this. So thank you for that. Thank you for literally listening to my own journey as I've improved in my own mental state during this conversation. So that's nice. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate y'all, and I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I think we'll call it quits on this first one. Now, yeah, coming up on 50 minutes in the sauna. I don't know how long I've been recording for. But thank y'all so much for listening. I wish you nothing but more love, more success. Go watch the new music video, Dark Skies, streaming everywhere. Go play the music, go buy it on iTunes. All that really helps me out. Go pre-order the vinyl. You can still pre-order Olympus on vinyl. Afterwards, it will be coming out for more money, but the pre-order is $75 USD. After it will go up. Because that project is really worth that much, man. It's a special art project. Anyways, thank y'all so much for listening. I'll be back next week, and I'm glad that I was here this week. Thanks for holding me accountable, everyone, just by click and play. More love, more success. It's going to be a great day. It is. Anyways, blessings. Check.
I hope you know, with every darker night, there's a brighter day. Through the chaos, we'll be okay. Sending nothing but positive vibes your way. Love for always. Jay.